It happened when nobody expected it. In a match that was supposed to be Liv Morgan's crowning moment, the universe flipped upside down, and left her shattered, humiliated, and in tears. This wasn't just any botched move or cheap finish. No. This was something far more personal, far more devastating, and fans across the world cannot stop talking about it. Liv Morgan, the fierce and fabulous face of rebellion in WWE, entered the ring under the Friday Night SmackDown lights with her usual fire and flair. The crowd erupted in chants. They were behind her. She was confident. She was ready. But what she didn't know was that in just a few minutes, her world would come crashing down in the most unexpected and excruciatingly public way possible. The match, a high-stakes singles competition against Zoe Stark, meant to catapult Liv back into the women's championship scene. Liv had been working her way back from injury and controversy. This was meant to be her redemption, her moment to silence the doubters, prove the haters wrong, and reclaim the love of the WWE Universe. But what transpired inside that ring wasn't a match, it was a nightmare. Just minutes into the bout, as Liv attempted a top rope Hurricane Rana, disaster struck. Her gear, designed for style and agility, failed her in the worst way. The audience gasped. Commentators went silent. And Liv, mid-move, realized what had happened. The wardrobe malfunction was brief, but the emotional impact was brutal. She immediately tried to recover, tugging at her gear while stumbling to the corner. The camera cut away, but the damage had already been done. Social media exploded. Within seconds, screenshots and blurry videos were circulating like wildfire. Hashtags like #pray for Liv, #Liv Morgan, and #WWE fail were trending globally. Fans were furious. Not at Liv, but at WWE's gear team, at the design failure, at the sheer negligence that allowed something so preventable to happen on live TV. Backstage, Liv was reportedly inconsolable. Sources say she burst into tears the moment she crossed the curtain. Not because she lost the match, because in the eyes of millions, her vulnerability had been exposed without consent. What was meant to be her triumphant return became a viral moment of humiliation. And WWE, they remained silent for hours. When the company finally issued a statement, it was vague, corporate, and utterly devoid of empathy. WWE is aware of the incident that occurred during Friday Night SmackDown. Measures are being taken to ensure gear integrity moving forward. That was it. No mention of Liv, no public apology, no acknowledgement of the mental toll this took on a performer who has given everything to the sport. Fans weren't having it. The backlash was immediate and intense. Prominent wrestling personalities took to Twitter, calling out WWE's lack of accountability. Paige tweeted, "This is why women in this industry need proper support and respect. Liv deserves better." Mick Foley chimed in, stating, "That was painful to watch. Not because of the malfunction, but because of how alone she must have felt. WWE, you need to do better." And what about Liv? She went dark. Her Instagram stories vanished. Her Twitter profile photo changed to black. For days, she was silent, a stark contrast to the bubbly, charismatic woman fans had grown to adore. But Liv Morgan isn't one to stay down for long. In a jaw-dropping twist, Liv returned the following week. No match, no promos, just a single segment. She stood on the ramp, mic in hand, under a spotlight. The crowd was dead silent. She paused. Then, in a voice trembling with both rage and resolve, she said, "You all saw what happened. You all know. I was humiliated, exposed, and I cried. I cried harder than I ever have. But I'm still standing here. I'm still Liv Morgan, and I'm not going anywhere." The crowd erupted. Tears welled up again in her eyes, but this time, they were tears of strength. Of resilience. Of a woman who had taken back her power in front of the very audience that witnessed her most vulnerable moment. That segment went viral. It became one of the most watched WWE videos of the month. Celebrities and influencers praised Liv for her bravery. Fans flooded her social media with support, turning the narrative on its head. What was once a moment of humiliation transformed into a movement of empowerment. Hashtag still standing trended for days. But behind the scenes, tensions remain high. Reports suggest Liv is considering renegotiating her contract, demanding better wardrobe policies and greater protections for female superstars. And who could blame her? This isn't the first time wardrobe failures have disrupted matches, but it may be the most emotionally raw aftermath we've seen. Insiders say Triple H held a closed-door meeting with the women's division after the incident. The locker room is reportedly split. Some see Liv as a hero, a trailblazer, others are concerned about the intense scrutiny her spotlight brings. Regardless, the world is watching. And the plot thickens. Word around the performance center is that Zoe Stark, the very opponent in that disastrous match, may have contributed to the malfunction. Footage shows Zoe yanking Liv's gear in a way that may not have been scripted. Was it accidental, or a calculated move to shake Liv's confidence? No one's confirming anything officially, but Liv's cold stare at Zoe in backstage footage tells a story of betrayal. If true, this scandal is far from over. WWE has a decision to make. Do they protect Liv and build her redemption arc into one of the most powerful stories of 2025? Or do they sweep it under the rug, allowing the moment to fade and Liv's pain to go unresolved? One thing is clear, fans won't let this be forgotten. And neither will Liv. So where does this leave us? With a broken superstar refusing to break. With a company under fire. And with a moment that, despite being born of pain, is transforming into something unforgettable. Liv Morgan may have been left in tears, but she's walking back into the spotlight with fire in her eyes. And if WWE knows what's good for them, they'll give her the justice, and the push, she so deeply deserves. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Was WWE to blame for Liv's wardrobe malfunction? Should there be stricter guidelines and more accountability? Do you think Zoe Stark intentionally triggered the incident? And more importantly, do you stand with Liv Morgan? Smash that like button, share this video with every wrestling fan you know, and keep it locked on WrestlingNewsCC for more breaking updates as this story develops. Because this isn't just about a malfunction. It's about dignity, power, and standing tall, even when the world tries to strip you down. Liv Morgan, we see you. We hear you. And we stand with you. Stay tuned. In the glitzy, chaotic universe of WWE, fans live for jaw-dropping moves, crushing betrayals, and moments that blur the line between sport and spectacle. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared the WWE universe for what went down last Friday night on SmackDown. It was supposed to be Liv Morgan's triumphant return to the ring. The cheers were deafening, her confidence was electric, and every step she took to the ring screamed redemption. But then, everything unraveled. Not because of a heel turn. Not because of an ambush backstage. But because of something far more mortifying. A wardrobe malfunction. One that left Liv Morgan shaken, embarrassed, and in literal tears as she fled the spotlight that once embraced her. What happened that night was more than a fashion mishap. It was a public, painful unraveling of one of WWE's most resilient underdogs. Liv Morgan, who had clawed her way back from injury, bounced back from betrayals, and won hearts with her never say die attitude, suddenly found herself trending worldwide not for her wrestling, but for an accident that no superstar ever wants to endure. The match was set. Liv Morgan vs. Bayley. An anticipated clash between two incredibly skilled women with contrasting styles and history. Bayley was in full heel mode, smirking and throwing shade as usual. Liv was laser-focused, determined to show the WWE universe that she hadn't missed a beat since her injury. But somewhere between the dive off the ropes and the vicious roll-up that Bayley executed with the precision of a sniper, tragedy struck. Liv's top shifted. Just slightly at first. But as she adjusted, trying to play it cool, the strain of another move caused a full-blown slip. Cameras caught it. The crowd gasped. Liv's face turned from battle-hardened warrior to sheer panic. She covered herself immediately, screaming at the referee for cover as she bolted under the bottom rope and crouched behind the barricade. Bayley, not knowing the extent of the malfunction, taunted her ruthlessly, yelling, "What's the matter, Liv? Can't handle a little fight?" The fans didn't know what to do. Some laughed nervously, others stood in stunned silence. But as the replay showed Liv sobbing into her towel backstage, the atmosphere shifted. This wasn't funny. This was heartbreaking. Backstage reports began flooding in within minutes. Liv Morgan had to be calmed down by WWE officials. Her best friend Raquel Rodriguez reportedly left gorilla position to console her. Triple H himself checked in, showing a side of empathy rarely seen from the creative czar of WWE. But Liv, she was devastated. Sources close to the situation revealed that Liv had spent months perfecting her return attire, personally working with a custom designer. The gear was supposed to represent her rebirth, angelic whites with hints of crimson, symbolizing her battles and triumphs. And in a cruel twist of fate, that very costume betrayed her. But here's where it gets darker. Certain segments of the internet, yes, the toxic corner we all wish didn't exist, began circulating the footage, zooming in, and making jokes. Disgusting memes were made. Hashtags like hashtag Liv Malfunction and hashtag Oops Morgan trended on Twitter. And instead of rallying around a woman who just had her dignity shattered on global television, many treated it like cheap entertainment. Montez Ford tweeted in her defense, saying, "Y'all are sick. This is someone's sister, someone's daughter, someone's hero. Show some respect." Bailey, to her credit, later tweeted an apology, saying she didn't realize what was happening and never meant to mock a vulnerable moment. But the damage was done. Liv Morgan, who was supposed to walk out of that match with her hand raised and her name back in the title picture, instead walked out as a viral headline, her tears forever etched into the memory of an unforgiving industry. And now, the question stands, will Liv return? That night, she refused interviews. Cancelled press appearances. Even Becky Lynch, notorious for keeping kayfabe intact, broke character and commented on Liv's stream, "You're stronger than most. Keep going." Fans noticed. The internet noticed. Liv's honesty, her vulnerability, had sparked a wave. Women from all over began sharing their own stories of embarrassing moments, accidental exposure, mental battles, and the pressure of perfection. The movement was given a hashtag. Hashtag still standing. From mistake to movement. What started as a humiliating moment turned into a brand. Liv's merch team dropped a surprise line of hoodies with the phrase, "Still standing," printed boldly across the front. Sales through the roof. In less than 48 hours, Liv Morgan went from trending for the wrong reasons to becoming a symbol of resilience in WWE. But not everyone was on board. The shocking opposition. Charlotte Flair speaks out. Charlotte Flair, never one to hold her tongue, took a more controversial stance. On WWE's The Bump, she said, "Look, I feel for Liv. No one should go through that. But this whole emotional live stream and sympathy tour, it's turning WWE into a therapy session. We're athletes. We're warriors. We don't cry on camera." Fans were split. Some sided with Charlotte. Wrestling is tough. Get up. Move on. Others clapped back. Why does showing emotion make her weak? This isn't 1998. Liv, however, didn't engage. Her silence, louder than Charlotte's words. Redemption in the ring. 2 weeks later, Liv was booked in a rematch. Same opponent. Same gear, but this time double-checked, reinforced, and tested. She walked down that ramp with purpose. The match, flawless. The finisher, clean. The crowd, electric. As she stood in the center of the ring, hands raised high, the audience chanted something that gave her goosebumps. Still standing. Still standing. Still standing. And in that moment, it was clear, Liv Morgan had rewritten the script. From embarrassment to empowerment. From breakdown to breakthrough.